So when you started the People's Assembly, did you go to a bank at all or no?
So when I started the People's Assembly, I went through a church. So they handled like all of the paperwork I had to do, what forms I needed to fill out to establish my nonprofit status. I had to register with the Charity Bureau of New York. So that's like the telephone book pages of all the charities that in New York, you have to register with them. They did all of that paperwork because I was scared of like getting it wrong myself. And I didn't want nobody coming to ask me no questions or like why this was done this way. So I went through them. And the same thing with like filing my 990. Like I sent them all of like my bank statements, all the donations I received, and then they filed it for me. Because it was easier. For me, it's easier to go through an entity, especially a church, because they are a nonprofit all 365 days a year. So they know what like needs to be reported, what forms needed to be filed. So I opened up our bank account when I went viral. Like I was just like, the money was coming in. I'm like, this is too much and I don't want it in my personal account. So we just going to establish the People's Assembly. They have their own bank account. So
does the People's Assembly have credit? Or
no.
is it just
because they're still looking at my personal credit. So that's what I'm in the process of doing is fixing. Like they don't like, but it's like also too, like the bank that I have right now is not really, I don't think they really are doing the best by me.
You want to start with a small bank.
Yeah, and that's the problem. I think I went to a
So
big,
the big banks, the big banks, remember they're looking for that big fish.
they looking for like St. Jude, and I ain't got St. Jude.
St. Jude got crazy money.
Yo, in the eyes of-
They own that song.
Okay.
I'll tell you a few names, a few banks that you can go to, and
Yes.
keep in mind,
Maybe I could just like, I don't know, like just connect with you and you just do everything and I just pay you.
we're gonna work something out. Absolutely. We'll work
Yeah,
something
because that I can't like, and it's not saying, let me not say I can't. I have so much going on in my brain of as far as like what I want to do for the People's Assembly, and it's like whether I have $1, $2, 50 cents, it's gonna get done for the People's Assembly. But I need someone to make it easier for me.
And that's why this is so important, because like in our community, we got a lot of passionate people. We got a lot of passionate people, bright people who want to create their own business. And they are so not blinded by the passion, but so consumed by it, they forget about the business part. That you need to build your credit.
Yep.
So
and also like the business side is something you have to learn, right? And so it could be intimidating, right? Because a lot of creatives weren't really good at writing and doing math and all the other academic, boring, monotonous stuff. But the thing is like you have to have a level of understanding. And so when you're like, wait, I have to open an LLC, I have to have a bank account, I have to have a QuickBooks, I gotta have all this, I gotta keep track of all this, I gotta do my own math and make sure. And it's like,
me
bro,
anxiety
fuck
as you
that.
say it
I'm-
out loud.
Like this is way too crazy. And so I feel like it may not be gatekeeping, but it's like
it's a learning curve.
It's a learning curve, and it can be intimidating.
No, and just to add to that, we do have a lot of like small businesses that they don't know anything about credit, or they don't know how to get funding for their business, right? So that's something that we try somewhere to kind of like, hey, who's your accountant? You want to go to someone, and you want to make sure that accountant is your best friend. Because, for example, daycares, back in 2020, 2021, the state was giving $50,000. You want to start a daycare, right? As long as you have all the paperwork aligned, $50,000 to start your business.
I should have started a daycare. My kids was home the entire time. What's a couple more kids? Come on.
Shoot, lunchtime, snack time.
Legos for everybody.
Right.
How many extra kids you need?
No, listen, and
Can they have your
these are
same last
things-
name?
These are things that, as we talked earlier, that we don't know, right? We don't know. We don't know where to get the info from, right?
So
and something that you mentioned, right? If I want to start a business, should I use my money? Right. If you have credit, right? Get the state money.
That's what I need help with. Like I need the state to give me the money. Like it's so like I applied for the David Prize. I don't know. Any of y'all heard of the David Prize?
I heard of it. Let the people know what it is.
So the David Prize
Take it
is.
past stage 2? You in?
I got past. So let me just.
What you made it past stage 1?
All right. So the David Prize is an organization that they pick 5 New Yorkers, just 5, and they offer $200K unrestricted.
Unrestricted, yeah.
Unrestricted. So if you got an idea, you apply. Like someone talked about like having like levitated like subway cars, and like it don't matter what the idea it is, you just submit the idea, right? So for me, I'm like 200K unrestricted. Do you know what the people, we could have like mobile in the 5 boroughs with 200K. And it's like I made it past phase 1, which is like the application process. I made it past phase 2, which is big. Now, even if you are not one of the 5 New Yorkers, they still connect you to different like other funding, different other opportunities. You still get like the media highlight. Like they still make sure like, okay, you didn't get this 200K, but let's connect you to other things. So I've applied for that.
You heard back since step 2?
So I got like a email, like they're still looking through. So I'm like, okay, that's good. And they say it takes about a year for them to pick who they want out of the 5. So I feel like if I made it past phase 1 and 2, I'm okay with whether if I get when I get that 200K or if I don't get that 200K, right? It's still like the process of applying for something. And I know like sometimes when I'm applying for like certain grants, it comes off a little bit intimidating, like some of the language that be asking. And I'm just like, no, like I don't want y'all to think like this money is for play. Like this is real life. There's real shit happening in my community that needs to be fixed.
There's a lot of money out there, man.
Yo,
it's a learning curve, but there's a lot of money out there.
And I just be like, if I had the access to it, or if I can, like right now, I have someone who helps me with grant writing, right?
Okay,
Which is the best investment I've made so far with DPA. Like he is someone that is familiar with the nonprofit sector, so he knows what language needs to be said. He knows what research that needs to be happening. Because it's like at the end of the day, I'm still an educator. I have to have someone on my team to help me. And I can't, no longer, DPA can't be run by myself. Like, I need the grant writer. I need the financial help. Hint, hint, wink, wink. Right? And I just need that because I know that when we do become, like, a big nonprofit, they could see, like, no, she really did the groundwork and, like, really sort out these resources.